Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today I am going to be having a look at Fables. So when I bought my new S61 Mark III, I got a voucher for a contact instrument up to the value of $399. So I had a look around and I decided to get Fables. It's £179, so I had plenty extra to spend, but I couldn't really find anything else that I really wanted. You don't get this until you get complete collector's edition, and I am not going to be getting that. I don't even know if I'm going to bother with 15 Ultimate this year. I will get it with the voucher and see what it was like. And unfortunately, I couldn't get the bundle. So Fables and Lures come as a bundle, and I had enough money to buy it, but they wouldn't let me because obviously that's classed as two separate instruments, and you can only get one contact instrument with this voucher, so that was a bit of a pain because I would have liked Lures as well. What is Fables all about? It is an evocative orchestral library. Blend and layer a collection of organic and synthetic timbres to craft immersive soundscapes. Basically got my name written all over it. Perform expressively with polyphonic aftertouch, and that is one of the other reasons that I got it, because it has some serious polyphonic aftertouch settings. So 16 hand-played instruments expressed through over 400 articulations, waterphone, strings, choirs and more. So you've got 3 layers. Well, you can't really see all of this, but you've got 3 layers here, and each layer is made up of 3 articulations. So you can have 9 articulations going at once. So yeah, weave stories through sound. Set the scene with Fables, a cinematic library of evolving ensemble textures building on the legacy of Lures. Fables lets you seamlessly blend and layer a collection of lush acoustic instruments across a 3-layer engine to shape your own multi-dimensional soundscapes. Get in. Whether you're crafting your next cinematic score or adding motion to electronic productions, Fables has all you need to bring movement, magic and mysticism to your music. And the sounds of Fables was recorded at the iconic 301 studios in Sydney. This is better. You can actually see the controls on this one. So you've got mod wheel and an expression, and you've only got 4 macros because obviously there's so much going on in all the layers that you don't really need that much. So you've got reverb, noise, boost and power, and I'll go into those later on. And then you've got your kind of presets here. So let's say you've got 3 there, and you can see this one has 2. And you can just pick them there, and you can filter by tonal, atonal, looped and one shot. Hybrid cinematic textures. Discover the alchemy between organic and synthetic tones with a collection of blendable string sections, female and male choirs, woodwind, tuned percussion, pads, low brass, French horns. Each sampled instrument was performed by virtuoso musicians, offering a stunning array of articulations and effects options. So, expressive performance, and this is where it gets a bit mental. Fables is powered by polyphonic aftertouch, allowing each note to become its own canvas for expression. Infuse your music with subtle nuances and breathtaking dynamics by effortlessly controlling MIDI with your touch. Subtly affect the volume, panning, filters, pitch and modulation of each voice independently, adding a whole new dimension of depth and emotions to your compositions and performances. All these adjustments can be made per layer. Step inside Fables. I'm going to have a look at that in a minute. So yeah, so Fables is part of the Evolution series. This dedicated team of globe-trotting developers is inspired by sounds from all over the planet. They capture only the most expressive performances from talented players to deliver completely authentic libraries. So with a focus on the raw quality of traditional instruments and voices, Evolution series continues to set the bar for high quality sounds and intuitive engines suitable for all types of composing. Fables meet Lures. So yeah, get the bundle. Well, yeah, I wish I could have got the bundle, but you wouldn't allow me it. And this thing is massive. So 57 gigabyte download. So just as well I have now got faster broadband, because that would have taken an absolute freaking age. And it will work with the Contact player, so you can get the free Contact 8 player and use that, and it needs version 7.5 or higher. Let's have a quick look how much the bundle costs, because you are saving a fair bit. So the bundle was $269, so I could have still got that, and it's 127 gigabytes, so they're both about 60 gigabyte. Fables on its own is 179, and you can upgrade for 89, but I'm not quite sure what you're going to upgrade from, so I don't quite understand that upgrade. So yeah, so that's how much the bundle costs. So 269, so you're saving a fair old bit. And Lures is the same idea, but with a whole different set of instruments. So that is quite good. You've got things like horse fiddle, shakuhakis, hurdy-gurdies. So yeah. So I'm just going to have a quick play of this video.
Walkthrough of Fables. an inspiring collection of evolving ensemble textures, both organic and synthetic, perfect for scoring cutting-edge productions with mystical soundscapes. Primarily designed for media composers, yet expressive enough for all types of music making, this magical instrument takes textural composition to the next level. Microphone sound staging, expressive polyphonic aftertouch, independent voice modulation, and more, teasing dynamics and nuance from the performances. Fables captures the sound of virtuoso musicians playing a huge variety of articulations and effects, fused within a 3-layer engine that sculpts multi-dimensional soundscapes. Based on more traditional ensemble performances than the eclectic sister collection Laws, Fables is a suite of newly recorded instruments, vocals, and effects. The engine blends string sections, female and male choirs, woodwinds, pads, low brass, French horn ensemble, waterphone, guitars, designed pads, special effects, alongside tuned and metallic percussion. There are full browsing and sound shaping features, with a new emphasis on polyphonic aftertouch, where each note becomes its own canvas for expression. Subtly change the volume, panning, filters, pitch, and modulation of each voice independently as you play. I'll cover these features in more detail later, but for now, here are a few of the presets, performed using onboard controls to shape the playback. A mixture of vibraphone, marimba, Tibetan bowls in layer 1, effects in layer 2, and a pad in layer 3, performed with layer 1 shifting mic positions and some global parameters changing throughout. Layer 1 for cello ensemble bowing and pizzicato repetitions, and unusual male and female articulations in layers 2 and 3. The cellos are shifting between the two mic positions, with global reverb automated. Expression is affecting articulation mixing. This patch utilises ambient guitar techniques.
Right, that is probably enough of that. I will leave a link to that whole thing because it is 15 minutes long. So I just wanted to give you a quick idea of what it actually sounds like. As usual, there's some sound demos up here as well, but I thought I would just play the video instead because it gives you a better idea of how it actually works. So the outer layer is kind of like distance, and the inner layer is the pan, so you can do all of these, and there's controls on the keyboard for doing these as well. You can drag with your mouse either way, or you can use the keyboard. That is it for the intro. I'll get Fables open and we can actually have a look and also hear what it sounds like. Today we are having a closer look at Fables. So hopefully you can see the screen. I was a bit disappointed when I opened this and realised that there's only 3 pages of mapping. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why, because this is quite a new plugin. So I'm not quite sure why this is not NKS2 like PASHLIGht, but then Farlight and Straylight are not NKS2, but they have 13 pages of mapping and this has 3. So basically you've got the reverb, the noise, the boost, the power, and the solo left, mid and right on page 1, and then you've got the distance and the pan for each instrument. So that controls the distance and that controls the pan, and you can adjust these for each one. And then you've got the velocity curve pressure, so it defaults to hardness and sensitivity defaults to 42%. Voicing, smart voice is off and the voice limiter is set to 24. Now if I go into the settings, you'll see that it has those settings there. The problem is that if you change this to say normal, it will not stay at normal when you change presets. This is not global. And I don't know why not. I mean, surely the curve, if you want a curve, it should be a global setting if you want. And the same with smart voicing. So if you switch all that on and I go to the next preset, that will all disappear. So I've kind of had to leave it at hardest. Now I kind of normally wouldn't have it on hardest, but anyway, that's what it's defaulting to, and smart voicing is off. So you can see this has a huge amount of aftertouch settings. So this is per instrument. So this is the low winds ensemble, and this is the low brass, and that is the pads. So you can see all of these things can be adjusted, and you can either have auto, mono, or poly. So it kind of defaults to auto. So if I press that, you can see the kind of low brass is being affected, and the pads as well. So that is the set. Like I said, that's it. That's kind of the settings page. So it's a bit weird. Like I said, they don't have global. So if you click on these, you then get individual controls. Got layer control, mapping, motion, and filter. Now I can't control any of those from the keyboard. Why not? I've got all this massive amount of space on my screen. So you can see that the low winds ensemble is made up of these 2 presets. The low brass is made up of those 2, and the pads is made up of those 2. So, but I've now got to use the mouse every time I want to adjust the volume, the pitch, the attack, the release. So that is a bit of a pain, because the whole point of getting this keyboard was that I don't have to do this. That was a bit disappointing. Other than that, it is very, very nice indeed. You can see there, I get the light guide. I've actually moved this up an octave, so if I put that back, it's actually down there. So I kind of find it easier to play up here, especially when I'm filming. And that will change depending on the preset. So this is the first preset. So if I go back to browser, there is 4 categories. So you've got air, classical, hybrid, and tails. I'll just run through them. So air has 58 presets, classical 40, hybrid 117, and tails 56. And then you can obviously go by type as well. So you've got bowed, strings, brass, flute, guitar, impact, mallet, percussion, reed, soundscapes, synth pad, and vocal. So we're in air, so that we can kind of go through some of these. That's atmospheric hall. We've got things like Babel, blue moods. So we can load another one in, see how that looks. It's got much more keys, as you can see. We're kind of going from there. So we're going from what's that, -1 to 4. And this is one of the reasons that I got the 61 instead of the 49, because a lot of the time the light guide is off the scale of the 49, because they tend to be up and down all over the place. So it's a lot easier with the more keys. Obviously it's specifically designed for an 88, but how many people have got an 88 controller? I've never had one in my life. So like I said, we've got reverb, noise, boost and power, and you're going, well, what the hell are boost and power? Pages from the manual screenshotted so I can actually show you what's going on. So the mod wheel controls the volume of the instruments. I use this to add dynamic expression to a sound. For example, to create swells, quieter passages or movement. So if that's it, gone. And then use the slider of the modulation or the modulation wheel on the keyboard to adjust the level. So you can see. And then reverb adjusts the main level of the reverb effect. You can use this, so you can use this to simulate the natural sound of an acoustic space. So it's normally around about 30%. Noise is normally off, and boost and power are normally off as well. So noise adjusts the room noise level. This is useful if you want to add a little bit of grit to the sound. And boost is actually boosts to the low and high frequencies. This is great if you want to make the sound more pronounced in the mix. So for instance, we could bung up boost to about 50%, and then power is actually adjusts the amount of parallel compression. So that is a form of upward compression achieved by mixing an unprocessed dry or lightly compressed signal with a heavily compressed version of the same signal. Who knew? And then we have expression. So this is the expression, and it fades the layers in and out. The triggering of individual layers can be adjusted using the mapping controls, and it's excellent for making more expressive sounds. So I tend to have that all the way up. That is what the macros are, and like I said, there only is 4 macros and the mod and the expression. That's it. It is very simple. The other thing is the instrument stage, which is these 2 circles. So each of the 3 instruments contains an instrument stage, which allows you to mix the sound of each instrument in real time using an XY pad. So you can actually just drag these. You don't need to use the keyboard, but they are mapped to each individual one for both of them. So let's say you can drag if you want to use the mouse. By clicking and dragging around the virtual stage on the XY pad, you can change the instrument's position in the room. Note that this process uses actual recordings and microphone positions, not artificial reverb. For example, if you move the bottom of the XY pad, the VR algorithm will favour the close and overhead microphones. Moving it to the top of the XY pad will favour the room and far microphones. So fairly obvious, the kind of further away it goes, the further the mics are be. So by moving left and right, you control the panning of the instrument. So if you drag horizontally, you can adjust the pan, and then drag vertically. So that is close mics, and that is far away mics. Right, so we'll have a look at the next category, which is classical. So we've got a violin, a cello, and a double bass. And you can see the aftertouch there. You're getting a bit of tremolo. So these controls on here, so I can solo these specifically from here. So I can just solo the left instrument. So this is the violin. And then the middle instrument, the cello. And then the right instrument, the double bass. So that's very kind of handy if you want to just tweak each one and hear what they sound like, or if you want to change these. So if you want to change one of these, you can just click in here, and then there's all your instruments. So you've got ambient guitar, bass flute, cello, double bass, low bass, French horn, male choir, female choir, low winds, pads, effects, low percussion, waterphone, violin, perc tuned and perc metal. So you can't have 2 of the same instrument, which is a bit annoying, because it means that you can't have like 3 pads or 3 cellos, or it has to be 3 different instruments, which I think is a bit of a pain. And then you've got all presets. You've got tonal, atonal, and mixed. For instance, we could just change Delicate Fusion to Desperate Move, and we could see what that's like. We could solo that. So that's another double bass. So we could move the mics away a bit or closer. pitch, attack, so you can add some more attack. And you've got mapping for the trigger and trim range and motion, and then you've got filter as well, so you've got a low pass, band pass, high pass. So you can adjust the cutoff and the res. Just switch that off and you get the blues keys back. And then we can adjust the expression. We take the expression down and the volume down a bit. So you can fade this in, bring up the expression. So you can see they've got different key, so you can see the keys are different for the violins, and then the cello and the double bass is even further down, so they're kind of gradually going up, covering the whole keyboard. So that's just playing the cello and the double bass. There's no violin. So you've got violin, it doesn't come in until C2. So that's the violins coming in now. So yeah, and I'm assuming you can change this, but I'm not quite sure how. Plus it does have a complete randomize function as well, and you can lock these off. If we pick another preset, so we'll go to browser and we'll go to the hybrid, and this has the most. So first preset is called absolution. So we've got a female choir, a pad and a violin. So down at C2, we're only going to get the violin and the pad. So if we click on the choir, we'll see this doesn't come in till around about there, which is A. So from there onwards, we're going to get all three. You can feel the aftertouches bringing in the violin. So if we go to the settings and violin, you can see the volume on the violin is nearly maxed, and then the choir has got extra volume and the pad, so they've all got extra volume. So for instance, we could take the volume down on the choir and change the pitch. So maybe not the best one to do on the voice, but for instance, we could change the pitch on the pad. That might be better. We'll lower the pad and let's just see what that's like. So for instance, we could bump up the volume. So you can hear that. So yeah, a lot of control over the aftertouch. So that is hybrid, and then the last one is tails. So there's 56 of those. We'll just pick the first one. It's called a lone tower, and it is quite nice. And this is covering pretty much the whole of the keyboard. So we've got some dark stuff down here. So we've got a metal perk, pad, and a low perk. And I think tails are some of the kind of best ones. So we can boost the turn the boost up and the power, and take the expression down and see what that's going to do. It's not going to change it much. So pretty cool. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about Fables. It is quite complex, and I might have to do another one and go over some more of the other kind of instruments. Thanks for watching, and as usual, if you are enjoying these videos, please like, subscribe, share and comment, and I will see you in the next one.